Hey there, I'm Marie, a 54-year-old who teaches French from home. My life's pretty simple: give lessons, record them, and enjoy the little things. I've got a son, Thomas, a real hard worker in trade, and his wife, Emma, who's 28 and, well, let's say, easy on the eyes. One typical Sunday, they came over for lunch. I had made my usual spread: roast chicken, some veggies, and a nice apple pie for dessert. Thomas, always the first to compliment my cooking, said, "Mom, this chicken is amazing. You've outdone yourself." Emma, fiddling with her hair, replied without much interest, "Yeah, it's good." She was more concerned with checking her reflection in the spoon than eating. I couldn't help but notice her perfect makeup and the way she kept adjusting her hair. As I passed the gravy, I tried to start a conversation with her. "Emma, dear, I saw this ad for a makeup workshop. Thought it might interest you since you love that stuff." She gave me a look, half surprised, half annoyed. "Marie, I don't just like makeup, I live for it. It's not just a hobby, it's a necessity." Her tone was a bit sharp, like I had said something wrong. Thomas jumped in, trying to lighten the mood. "Mom, Emma's just passionate about her looks. It's her thing, you know?" I shrugged. "Sure, I get it. But don't you think it's a bit much? All these creams and masks?" Emma snapped her napkin down. "Look, Marie, I need to look good. I can't let myself go and look old and tired. That's not me." I was taken aback by her bluntness. "Well, there's nothing wrong with aging naturally, dear. Look at me, I'm proud of my age." She rolled her eyes. "That's you, Marie. I'm not going to let myself look old. No way." The tension was thick, and Thomas tried to change the subject. "Hey, let's not get into this now. Mom, tell us more about your students." We moved on, but Emma's words stuck with me. Her fear of aging seemed more than just a concern for beauty. It was almost like a deep-seated fear, something that drove her every action. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was going to lead somewhere unexpected. As they left, Emma barely said goodbye, too busy checking her phone for who knows what. Thomas gave me a hug and whispered, "Don't worry about Emma, Mom. She's just intense about her looks." I watched them drive off, thinking about Emma's obsession with her appearance. Little did I know, this was just the tip of the iceberg. A few weeks after that Sunday lunch, Emma came over to drop off some tools Thomas had forgotten. The house was a bit of a mess. I was in the middle of a lesson prep, but hey, family's family. "Hey, Emma," I greeted her. "Come on in, sorry for the mess." She stepped in, her eyes darting around like she was inspecting the place. "Oh, it's cozy," she said, in a tone that felt like she meant the opposite. While she waited, I noticed she was constantly touching up her face with a compact mirror and some powder. "You know, Emma, you really don't need all that makeup. You're naturally pretty." She snapped the compact shut, a bit annoyed. "Marie, I don't think you get it. This isn't just about looking pretty. It's about not getting old, not looking like a hag." Her words caught me off guard. "Hag? Emma, that's a bit harsh. There's more to life than just looking young." She huffed. "Easy for you to say. You've given up on trying to look good." I felt a sting at that comment. Given up? No, Emma, I just don't see the point in fighting the inevitable. We all age. It's natural. Emma leaned in, her voice tense. "Well, I won't just sit back and let age ruin me. I won't." I tried to reason with her. "But Emma, this obsession of yours, it's not healthy. Have you thought about talking to someone about it? Like a therapist?" Her reaction was instant and sharp. "Therapist? Are you calling me crazy?" "I'm not crazy, Marie. I just don't want to look old and wrinkled, that's all." The tension was palpable. I decided to change the subject. "Okay, let's not argue. Tell me, how's everything else going? How's work for Thomas?" She calmed down a bit. Thomas is fine. Busy as always. But he doesn't understand. He thinks I'm overreacting about my looks. I nodded, trying to be supportive. Men sometimes don't get these things. But Emma, there's a difference between taking care of yourself and being consumed by fear of aging. She looked away, her eyes distant. You don't understand, Marie. Since I was a kid, I was always told to look my best, to not let myself go. It's been drilled into my head. I saw vulnerability in her then, something I hadn't noticed before. I see. That must have been hard. But Emma, you're more than your looks. You're a smart, capable woman. She gave a half-hearted smile. Thanks, Marie. But in this world, looks matter. A lot. As she left, I watched her go. Her every step seemed to be measured, perfect. It was clear that this obsession with her appearance was deep-rooted, something that had been ingrained in her from a young age. I just hoped she'd come to see that there was more to her than just her looks. One rainy afternoon, while I was sorting out some old French lesson plans, the doorbell rang. It was Emma, looking more frazzled than I'd ever seen her. Her eyes were red, and it looked like she had been crying. Emma, what's wrong? I asked, ushering her in. She flopped down on the sofa, her hands shaking a little. Marie, it's a disaster. Look at this. She pointed to her hair where I could barely see a couple of gray strands. And this. She gestured towards a minuscule wrinkle on her forehead. I tried to calm her down. Emma, it's just a few grays and a tiny wrinkle. It happens to everyone. She looked at me like I was speaking another language. Just a few grays? Marie, this is the beginning of the end. I can't look old, I just can't. Her reaction seemed so over the top. Emma, everyone ages. It's not the end of the world. But she was in full panic mode. You don't understand. If I start looking old, Thomas might leave me. He could find someone younger and prettier. I shook my head. Thomas isn't like that. He loves you for who you are, not just for how you look. She wasn't listening, though. No, I need to fix this. I need treatments, salon visits, maybe some Botox. But it's so expensive. Then came the part one wasn't prepared for. She turned those teary eyes on me. Marie, I need your help. Can you lend me some money for these treatments? I'm desperate. I was taken aback. Emma, I can't just give you money for that. It doesn't seem right. She grabbed my hands, her voice almost pleading. Please, Marie, I'm begging you. I need this. Without it, I'm nothing. Her words struck a chord in me. Here she was, a young woman so scared of aging that she was willing to beg for money for cosmetic treatments. It was heartbreaking, in a way. I sighed, feeling a mix of pity and concern. Okay, Emma. I'll help you. But only with a few treatments. And you can't tell Thomas about this. She hugged me, relief flooding her face. Oh, thank you, Marie. You're a lifesaver. I promise I'll pay you back. I wasn't sure how I felt about the whole thing. Part of me felt like I was enabling her obsession, but another part couldn't stand to see her in such a state. I just hoped I was doing the right thing. As she left, her steps were a little lighter, but the worry in my heart grew heavier. I wondered if I had just opened a door that should have stayed closed. But I pushed those thoughts aside. After all, I was just trying to help, right? Several months had passed since I first agreed to help Emma with her cosmetic obsession. I hadn't seen her for a while, as she'd been busy with her treatments. When she rang the doorbell one sunny afternoon, I was in for a shock. There she stood, looking like a completely different person. Her lips were much fuller, unnaturally so, and her skin had a glossy, almost plastic-like sheen. Emma, my God, what have you done to yourself? I couldn't hide my shock as I ushered her into the living room. She strutted in, almost theatrically, flipping her hair back. Do you like it, Marie? I got my lips done, and this new skin treatment makes me look years younger, don't you think? I was struggling to reconcile this new appearance with the Emma I knew. Younger? Emma, you look. It's too much. You were already beautiful, but this is like you're trying to be someone else. She plopped onto the couch, seemingly pleased with herself. That's the whole point, Marie. I can't be looking the same all my life. I need to evolve, stand out. But Emma, I began, my voice heavy with concern, this isn't just evolving. You're changing your entire appearance. It's not natural. She got up and walked over to the mirror, admiring her reflection with a self-satisfied smile. Natural is old-fashioned, Marie. In today's world, you have to be bold to get noticed. And Thomas, he's all for it. I raised an eyebrow in doubt. Really? Thomas is okay with all of this? He doesn't think it's too much. She hesitated, her eyes darting away from the mirror for a moment. Well, he was a bit taken aback at first, but he'll come around. He has to. I tried to reason with her. There's a fine line between self-care and completely altering how you look, Emma. You're crossing that line. Her gaze hardened as she faced me. Crossing the line? Marie, it's my life, my body. I decide where the line is. I let out a sigh, feeling a mix of frustration and concern. But where does this end, Emma? More and more procedures? You're losing the essence of who you are in all of this. She let out a laugh, a bit too sharp, a bit too loud. Losing myself? No, Marie, this is me finding myself. Becoming who I was meant to be. And I've never felt better. I watched her, a sense of sadness and worry taking hold of me. This wasn't just a case of vanity or a simple desire to look good. Emma was on a dangerous path, one that seemed to be spiraling out of control. Emma, I said softly, there's a beauty in accepting who we are, in aging gracefully. Don't you see that you're beautiful without all these artificial changes? She looked at me, almost pityingly. Marie, that might work for you, but not for me. I can't afford to just age gracefully. I need to be more, to look more. As she gathered her things to leave, her every move seemed calculated, as if she was performing on a stage. I couldn't help but wonder if I'd made a mistake by enabling her. I had hoped to offer her support, but instead, had I just fueled her descent into this obsession? She left with a breezy goodbye, her confidence seeming to fill the room even after she was gone. I was left with a heavy heart, pondering over the situation. How had a simple desire to maintain youth turned into an all-consuming chase for an unattainable ideal? And more importantly, what could I do to help Emma find her way back, to realize that true beauty lies in being comfortable in one's own skin? The questions lingered, but the answers felt far out of reach. The day Emma came with that outrageous demand, I was in the middle of recording a French lesson. The doorbell interrupted my flow. There she was, Emma, looking more frantic than ever. Marie, we need to talk. It's urgent, she said, barging into the house without waiting for an invitation. What's going on, Emma? You seem all worked up, I asked, forgetting to pause the recording equipment. She started pacing, her hands fidgeting nervously. I need more, Marie. The treatments, the surgeries, it's not enough. I found a surgeon, top-notch, but he costs a bomb. I need 10 grand. I felt my heart sink. 10 grand? Emma, are you out of your mind? You don't need more work done. Look at yourself. She spun around, her eyes blazing. Not enough? Marie, you don't get it. This is about survival for me. You promised to help, now cough up the money. I stood my ground, disbelief mixing with anger. Help? I said I'd help with your little beauty treatments, not fund your damn obsession. You're going overboard. She got right in my face, her voice laced with venom. You'll give me that money, Marie, or you'll regret it. I recoiled, shocked. Threats now, Emma? What the hell are you gonna do? Her voice dropped to a hiss. I'll make sure Thomas hears all about this. How you pushed me into this mess. You think he'll take your side? I couldn't believe her audacity. You think you can blackmail me? My own son knows better than to believe such crap. She sneered. We'll see, won't we? Give me the money, or I'll turn your life to hell. With that, she stormed out, leaving me in a state of shock. The room felt suddenly empty, the air heavy with the residue of our heated exchange. I sat there, my mind racing. Had I inadvertently fueled her madness? It was only after a few minutes that I realized the recording was still on, capturing every word of our exchange. A part of me was glad there was proof of her madness, her threats. But another part was terrified. This recording could change everything. It could protect me, or it could rip my family apart. I was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, unsure of my next move. It was about a week after Emma's wild demand for money when things took an ugly turn. I was busy in the kitchen when I heard Thomas's car screech to a halt outside. He came storming in, his face twisted in anger. What the hell, Mom? Why'd you hit Emma? Thomas demanded, slamming his fist on the kitchen table. I was completely thrown off. Hit Emma? Thomas, what are you talking about? He was practically shaking with fury. She's in the hospital, says you smacked her. She's had surgery, spent a fortune, and she's pointing her finger at you. My mind reeled. Hit her? That's crazy talk, Thomas. I'd never lay a finger on her. She's lying through her teeth. Thomas was pacing like a caged animal, his hands balled into fists. Explain this to me, Mom. Why would Emma spin such a tale? She's scared out of her wits. I struggled to piece my thoughts together. Listen, Thomas, she showed up here, demanding 10 grand for more plastic surgery. I said no. She's probably cooked up this story to cover her tracks. He stopped pacing, his eyes boring into mine. But why, Mom? Why the hell would she need to lie? She said you've been in on this beauty stuff from the start. I was adamant. I helped her with some small stuff, not this crazy surgery business. She's lost it, Thomas, and she's dragging me into her mess. He leaned against the kitchen counter, a deep frown creasing his forehead. I don't get it, Mom. She's my wife. Why would she lie? You're my mother. This is messed up beyond belief. I reached out, trying to connect with him. I know it's hard, but I'm telling you the truth. Emma's off the rails with this obsession, and she's spewing lies to get her way. Thomas jerked his hand away, his face hard as stone. I need some time, Mom. This is too much to wrap my head around. As he turned to leave, the weight of the situation hit me like a ton of bricks. My own son, torn between believing his mother or his wife's twisted lies. The house felt colder, emptier. I need proof, Mom. Proof of your words, Thomas said, his voice cold, before he walked out the door. The house was eerily quiet after Thomas's demand for proof. My mind raced as I dug out the recording of my conversation with Emma. It felt like my last hope to clear my name and show Thomas the truth. When he arrived later that day, the tension was palpable. Thomas entered, his eyes wary and his jaw set tight. All right, Mom, you said you have proof. Let's hear it then. I nodded, feeling a mixture of anxiety and determination. Sit down, Thomas. This is going to be hard to listen to. He sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, arms crossed, a skeptical look on his face. I played the recording. Emma's voice echoed through the room, demanding money for cosmetic surgery, her threats chillingly clear. Thomas's face was a mix of disbelief and horror as Emma's words filled the room. I need that money, Marie. Or else, I'll make sure Thomas hates you for it. As the recording ended, the room fell into a heavy silence. Thomas's expression was unreadable for a moment, then his face crumbled. Jesus, Mom. I can't believe it. She lied, all this time, he said, his voice barely a whisper. I reached out, touching his hand. I didn't want to believe it either, Thomas. But I couldn't let her lies tear us apart. He looked up, his eyes haunted. She sounded so manipulative. How could I not see this? I thought I knew her. I sighed, feeling a surge of empathy for him. Sometimes, we see what we want to see, especially in the people we love. Thomas got up, pacing the room, a storm of emotions playing across his face. I've been a fool, haven't I? Defending her, believing her over my own mother. You're not a fool, Thomas. You're just human, I reassured him. He stopped, turning to face me. What do I do now, Mom? My marriage is based on a lie. My wife, the person I trusted most, she's a stranger. I stood up, taking his hands in mine. You're strong, Thomas. You'll get through this. It's going to be hard, but you're not alone. I'm here for you. He nodded, a flicker of determination in his eyes. I need to confront her, sort this mess out. She needs help, serious help. And I need to find a way to move on. Weeks had rolled by since the whole mess with Emma blew up. It was a somber autumn afternoon when Thomas came over. He looked like he'd been through the ringer, a shadow of his usual self. We sat in my cozy living room, the air thick with unspoken thoughts. Thomas broke the silence, his voice rough with emotion. Mom, I had it out with Emma. It was brutal. I leaned forward, bracing myself. What happened, Thomas? He rubbed his face, tired lines etched deep. She confessed, finally. Broke down, sobbing, begging for forgiveness. But I couldn't do it, Mom. I couldn't forgive her. My heart ached for him. You've been through so much, Thomas. He nodded, a bitter laugh escaping him. Yeah, a real roller coaster. I've filed for divorce. It's over. I also told her she needs to cough up that 10 grand she blew on surgery. Said I'd sue her if she didn't. The finality in his voice was like a punch to the gut. That's tough, Thomas. But you're doing the right thing. He stared out the window, lost in thought. I know. But it's hard, you know? She was my life, and now, it's like I don't even know her. I reached out, touching his arm. It's okay to feel lost right now. But you'll find your way, I know it. Thomas took a deep breath, a semblance of resolve returning to his eyes. I need to start over. Maybe take some time off, travel a bit. Clear my head. Sounds like a good plan, I encouraged, feeling a glimmer of hope for him. He stood up, a determined look on his face. Yeah, it's time to move on. Thanks, Mom, for everything. As he left, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. The whole situation with Emma had been a storm, tearing through our lives, leaving a trail of hurt and betrayal. But it also brought clarity, a harsh lesson in truth and deception. The house felt quiet after he left, a silence that spoke of endings and beginnings. I sat there for a long time, thinking about all that had happened, about the twists and turns life throws at you. Emma's deception had been a harsh blow, but it also opened our eyes. Thomas was on his way to healing, to finding a new path. And I, in my own way, was too.